All right, guys, so I know you may be asking, really, Tbone? Another rolling with Tbone? Down in the PIP box, you'll see the reason why. Because it's Sunday. Hey, guys. And it's actually, they call for snow and it's actually doing it. So here we go, guys, with an interesting episode of Tbone's, or Rolling with Tbone. Sorry. All right, guys, welcome back to this episode of Rolling with Tbone. Again, we're having to do it in the cage because the weatherman actually came through this time and hit the weather kind of on the head. So getting a little bit of snow today, and realized about midway through the day here that I had no content to upload tomorrow. So man, I'd love to be able to be on the motorcycle right now. Got a little bit of a holiday here, a couple of days off work. Would love to be on the motorcycle, but instead we're having to deal with snow. Hopefully it won't get too bad. They kind of missed the starting time of the event. It was supposed to be worse this morning when we woke up than it actually is, so I'm thankful for that. Wouldn't hurt my feelings if they missed the whole event and it just was 75 and sunny. And but anyway, guys, if you're new here, welcome in. My name's Tbone. I make motorcycle related content, really any kind of content. As you can see, we're not rolling down the road on either Big Papa or the Blue Moon today or the Punisher. We're in the cage because it's snowing and your boy ain't a snow bunny. I'm sorry, I'm not going to ride in the snow. That's just not what I'm about. I'm not a fair weather rider. I will ride in the wintertime when it's cold, but I'm not going to get out and do this kind of weather. Not on a motorcycle. But anyway, if you're old here, welcome back. You know what's going on. It's another episode of Rolling with Tbone. Guys, I'll tell you what, we are already into January deep. I mean, we're going to turn around here in a couple of weeks and this is going to be February. And then we're going to turn around and it's going to be springtime, baby. It's going to be time to spring into action. So what's going on right now, guys, is I am actually going to try to do a couple of things over the next few weeks here. I'm wanting to try to set up an interview with a veteran. Desert Storm or the 20-year war we just came out of. I would really like to be able to set up an interview and sit down and talk to somebody who was in Vietnam. That would be awesome. But just going to try to take the channel in that direction, guys. Still wanting to find me one single thing that I can get on board, one charity that I can get on board. Now, it has been recommended, PM'd, and commented on about toy runs and stuff like that. That's all well and good. But guys, everybody gives to toy runs. Everybody does the toy runs. You know, everybody donates to that stuff year round. And usually in November, October, November, they have big runs. I'm really wanting to focus on something that doesn't get a lot of attention. It was also recommended maybe the Copper Basin Crisis Center. Now, I have been inquiring about what's going on with the Crisis Center over there. Of course, as we all know who have lived here locally, Al Patterson and Margaret Patterson pretty well much have been the matron and patron of the Crisis Center for my whole life. As long as I can remember, they've been the ones. And, you know, they're kind of stepping back some now, kind of handing the reins over to other folks. So that might be something. But keep the ideas coming, guys. Keep the ideas coming. We're like I said, I'm wanting to get involved with just one charity that I can donate all my time to, donate a lot of my content to on this channel. But while we're thinking about that, somebody asked me, probably been about 3 weeks ago, and it might have been Gene Smith, who was our winter winner from Ball Hootin'. How did I get into riding motorcycles? You know, I've got the backstory on my page. You can those of you guys who have been with me from the very beginning have read my backstory and listened to what my backstory was. But for you new folks, I'll give you just a little bit of the history of Tbone. I can remember at the 80s, I began riding probably, my dad put me on my first motorcycle, which the backstory to me getting a motorcycle was some of the kids in our neighborhood had dirt bikes. Of course, we live out in the country, and back then dirt bikes were everywhere. Dirt bikes and skateboards seemed to dominate outdoor activities. Everybody wanted dirt bikes or skateboards. It's just according to where you were. Out in the country, we didn't have a whole lot of pavement, so it was dirt bikes pretty well much dominating the landscape. But I had went in and I had asked my dad for a dirt bike, and he said, you know what, let me think about it a little bit. Long story short, I didn't get a dirt bike. I ended up on an XL350 Honda street bike. Chrome fenders, sissy bar, the whole 9 yards. Had some 8-inch mini apes on it. Great fun little bike. I was so short, guys, compared to this motorcycle when I was 9 years old, that I had to prop up on the back steps of the back porch and take off and essentially stay in motion and keep riding until I got tired, and then pull back to my spot at the back porch of the house and get off on the steps to be able to handle the motorcycle. But man, I went up crabapple trees, went through ditches. I learned how to ride the hard way on a street bike. And to this day, I'm 44, guys, and I've still never owned a dirt bike. Although I'm looking at these enduro bikes, on-road, off-road, adventure bikes, if you will. I'm really digging those, and I'm digging what people are doing with them. Of course, you got a couple of guys on Facebook like Adam Sandoval and Shade Tree Surgeon that are turning 883 Sportsters, 1200 Sportsters. They're turning Harley Davidson Sportsters into adventure bikes. So I'm watching these builds and go to watch what these guys do. Of course, it's not a new ideal. There's Sportster builds all over YouTube if you wanted to just kind of check it out. Just type in Sportster adventure builds, and her two wheels, her husband did a Sportster adventure bike, and those guys seem to be having a lot of fun with those bikes. You know, maybe something like that. I don't know. But getting back to the story, I probably got on my first motorcycle when probably it was 1985. It was either 85 or 86. And it may be more toward 86 than 85. But yeah, I mean, I've been on a street bike my whole life. I started riding just because, you know, everybody was riding, and me and a guy named Matt Stevens, rest in peace, Matt. He's no longer with us, but he was my brother through those early teenage years and teenage years. And he had a 350 Yamaha Warrior four-wheeler, and I had several street bikes that I was dirt roading and stump jumping, and me and brother Matt had a blast riding the four-wheelers, riding the dirt motorcycles, the street bikes. He said, I never took a street bike down a trail before. I'm like, welcome to my world, baby. It's about to get wild. But yeah, I mean, I was probably, like I said, it was 85 or 86. I think it was more along the lines of 86. My first wreck happened on the second day of riding. I actually went up a crabapple tree, a green apple tree that was growing behind our house. Guys, if y'all are going to get out, just a PSA, watch the back roads, because I've just came around through Hell's Holler and the roads are already starting to get covered in slush. So y'all be careful. The temperature's dropping. Earlier I was out, it was like 41. Now according to my truck, it's 34. So the temperature is dropping. But when I started riding hard in the 90s, you know, at the time that I was riding, and you guys who have been with me for a while, you'll remember hearing me say this, riding motorcycles in our area in the 90s was still a very, very taboo thing to do. You know, they were still the old school, you know, you're on a motorcycle, you must be a member of the Hells Angels. It was frowned upon, to say the very least. It was frowned upon to ride a motorcycle at that time. But yeah, I mean, my dad rode a lot. He of course, he had motorcycles, I had motorcycles. And the really cool thing is, guys, even though me and my dad did not always get along, there were some good memories. Me and my dad used to ride motorcycles together, and me and my dad used to ride our motorcycles up through the mountains. I mean, I had a 550 4-cylinder Honda, and of course he had several different kinds of bikes that he rode, and I would ride that 550 Honda up into the mountains, up into the Cohuttas, and I would ride with my dad. And that was kind of a cool thing that I got to do when my dad was riding motorcycles together with him. Probably the better memories that I have are me and him riding bikes together. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the history of how T-Bone got started in motorcycles. It was very taboo. Now, of course, in the 90s, it wasn't taboo. If you were living out west, it was never really taboo. Of course, if you were in Florida, it wasn't really super taboo, because you had Daytona that was going on. And the races on the beach in Daytona have been legendary, going on for years and years and years and years. But yeah, it was really taboo here in the mountains, because like I said, you were one of two things in people's eyes if you were riding a motorcycle in our area in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. And it was a very dangerous thing to do. I mean, you know, people say, well, it couldn't have been like that. Yeah, it was. If you pulled up on somebody's road or somebody's property and you were on a motorcycle, if they did not know who you were, the odds were you might get blown off of your motorcycle. You know, these old moonshiners and these old folks that live back in the mountains, they didn't play. They weren't hospitable. But yeah, I just wanted to take a few minutes here, guys. This is going to be a short video, but I just wanted to take a few minutes and just kind of talk to you guys about what was going on with everything. And just as soon as the weather gets to where I can, guys, I'm going to fire up the other camera real quick. So look for the PIP. All right, guys, look for the PIP right now. I don't know if you can see it in the PIP camera, but the roads are starting to turn. It's starting to get pretty bad out here, guys. So y'all just, if you don't got to be out, don't be out. Because truthfully, if I didn't have to be out, I wouldn't be out. But I just wanted to shoot this contract, in which I don't have to be out. Let me fix that. I don't have to be out. But I'm kind of used to driving and stuff like this. I mean, it's not real bad right now. I got, you know, but I'm heading back to the Ponderosa. But I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of share my backstory. I've been riding motorcycles now. Like I said, I started in '86. I was probably 8 years old, 9 years old when I first started riding motorcycles, 85, 86. So I've literally 34 years been riding motorcycles. But, you know, does that make me an authority or an expert at riding motorcycles? Absolutely not. There's some of you guys out there that are far better than I am, who are in, you know, it don't matter how long you've been riding. If you know how to ride, you know how to ride. I still think riding good is, you're born with the instinct of what to do with the motorcycle, but I think experience, whatever your experience is riding, has probably made you a good rider. I would never try to say, oh, I've been riding 34 years, I'm better than that. No. I'm not any kind of authority on riding motorcycles. I'm not the best at it. You know, I do okay. Of course, I don't take a lot of risks, and I don't do a lot of wild hair things on motorcycles. I essentially probably am one of the safest riders in the group of friends that I have that I ride with, because like I said, I don't jam out and go fast, and I don't have to be a speed demon and set some kind of speed record with a motorcycle. But you know, I just enjoy riding, and I'll be honest with you guys, every time that somebody either starts riding or gets back into riding, I get excited for them, because I can remember being a kid, and I can remember once I finally got old enough, 11, 12, 13 years old, to where I was able to change the gears and learn the brakes and learn essentially how to ride the right way, other than just being a short kid having to prop up on a set of steps to take off. I can remember the excitement. I can remember the thrill. I can remember nerves. I can remember being at, and when I was young, guys, 13, 14-year-old, riding that 550 Honda street bike I had, which was the second bike I had. I still had the 350. We had a bunch of motorcycles, me and Dad did. But I would, you know, I didn't ride, and I know some of y'all are going to cringe when you hear me say this, but I didn't wear a helmet. I had helmets, I just did not like to wear helmets. And just as soon as I hit a back road where I was sure there wasn't no law around, or I was sure I could get away if I needed to, I'd pull that helmet off and strap it somewhere on the motorcycle, and I would ride without a helmet for, you know, the whole time I was out. Of course, I never let my dad know that I rode without a helmet, but when I was a kid, I hated wearing a motorcycle helmet. I really did. I always thought it took away from the experience of the ride. But now, of course, I'm older and a little wiser, not a lot wiser, but a little wiser. And, you know, I still wear the half shell skid lids. I still like the freedom of having my face open and in the wind. But since I've started doing this right here, I've had to put on the full face helmet, and I still have fun riding it. But I got the 3-in-1 Harley Davidson helmet that breaks down 3 ways, and it'll turn into a half shell. Of course, it looks like a mushroom, but I don't care. Once I'm done recording, if T-Bone's recording an episode of Rolling with T-Bone and I end that episode of Rolling with T-Bone and I'm still on the road riding, most of the time it's not just the camera that's going to get put away. I'm going to tear the face mask off of that helmet. I'm going to tear the back plate off of that helmet, and I'm going to pull my shades out, and I'm going to ride with a half helmet. But that's just me. I want you guys to be safe. You know, you never know. And living where I live, I mean, our deer population has exploded, and it seems like nobody deer hunts anymore, because the deer population, especially where I live, the road that I live on, every day you can come through the big fields that are on the road where I live, and you're going to see deer somewhere, some way. And you're going to see a bunch of deer somewhere. It's not just 1 or 2 deer standing in a field. There's usually dozens of them. But, you know, you got to be safe, and I try to ride defensively. I don't ride offensively. I try to ride defensively, trying to keep my head on a swivel, trying to pay attention to what's going on around me, watching for things to pull out in front of me, glancing through the mirror, making sure there ain't somebody coming up on me hot. Because sometimes I will be riding, guys, and I will be enjoying the ride, and I'll look down and I'll only be running 45, 40, 35 mile per hour. You know, I'm in third gear just chugging along on this back road, having a great time. But I forget that there's people that are not like me that are enjoying the ride and having a great time. But yeah, guys, that's kind of going to bring this video to an end, I believe. I'm going to get on back to the house and get off these roads because the snow's still coming down pretty good. But what worries me now is that these roads are saturated because it has essentially started about 10 o'clock this morning. We woke up with a little bit of wet snow on the ground, not a lot. It didn't snow a lot overnight, just a little bit. And we did have a little snow on the ground at my house this morning, but it has rained all day long. And now this is a very wet snow falling because it's already covering the grass, the trees, the power lines. What worries me is that tonight, when the sun's completely gone and daylight's gone, the temperature is going to bottom out. Right now, it's holding steady at 34, but I got a feeling that tomorrow, when we wake up, we're liable to be without power, trees down everywhere. Just a lot of crazy stuff going on. And guys, today is Martin Luther King's birthday. If you want to run through my channel, if not, run to my YouTube page and scroll down my videos. Last year, I did a memorial video for Martin Luther King Jr., a very important historical figure. And I look at the world today and I really wonder if this was what he meant for it to be. And I don't think he would be too proud of what's going on in our country today. But nonetheless, I'm not going to get off on the soapbox on that. But 1986, guys, a Honda XL 350 street bike. That's what got Tbone started down this road of tattoos and motorcycles and all of the debauchery that everybody thinks goes along with it. Which I'm not going to sit here on this camera and tell y'all that in my 44 years I have been a perfect angel. In my late teen years and pretty well much up to yesterday, I used to be wild. I'll just put it that way. I used to be wild, but motorcycle wrecks and getting married and calming my hind end down, having kids, kind of all played a part and slowing me down a lot. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you I was a perfect angel, because I wasn't. I could have probably at a couple of points in time in my life been a hell's angel, but I wasn't no perfect angel. But all right, guys, I'll tell you what, thank you for joining in this episode of Rolling with Tbone. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed being out here shooting it. Sorry that it was in the cage, but guys, we just really didn't have no choice. I'm not going to ride my motorcycles in the snow. I can't afford to replace them if I total them out riding in the snow. But guys, remember to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. On YouTube and Facebook, it's Rolling with Tbone. On Instagram, it's Rolling W/Tbone. Give us a thumbs up, give us a share, give us a comment. Guys, until the next time, I am Tbone, and please do me a favor. If you're going to be out today, be safe. I'll see you next time.